Hi, I'm Congressman Ron Kind. My number one priority in representing the people of Western Wisconsin, and I believe it should be the priority of our entire nation, is doing everything we can by working together, coming together, to stay focused on the economy, and doing what we can to create the good paying jobs that people desperately need right now. There are too many people who are still looking for work, too many people who have been unemployed for too long. Many of our students graduating or veterans returning home from overseas are finding it difficult to gain meaningful employment. That's why I've introduced an innovation agenda for our nation. You can go to my website and see the details. But it's trying to develop the education and workforce training programs so that there's a better match of the skills that our workforce needs for the jobs of the future. Skills such as in the STEM studies of science, technology, engineering, math, basic and applied research, the expansion of broadband. But we also need a major investment in our infrastructure upgrade as a nation. We have too many roads and highways and bridges that have degraded and are in desperate need of repairs. If the Congress can get its act together and come together and pass a meaningful transportation bill, not only will that create jobs in the short term, but it will promote long-term economic growth and job creation well into the future. But a nation as great as ours also has to have the ability to make things, grow things, invent, and produce things. That's why recently I introduced legislation called Rebuilding American Manufacturing Act. It would lower the tax rate for domestic manufacturers, large or small, from the current 35% level down to 20%. Therefore, giving those businesses, large and small, the opportunity to grow and to succeed and to make it here in America, along with the good paying jobs that would come from it. Last week when I was back home in Western Wisconsin, I visited some of our manufacturing facilities to see what obstacles that they're facing when it comes to growing their jobs and their businesses and the jobs that come. All of them indicated that a lower rate would help them be able to compete more effectively globally. And that's exactly what we're trying to encourage. I would much rather give tax breaks to companies who decide to stay in Western Wisconsin, stay in the United States, and produce the jobs here rather than shipping them overseas. And by lowering that tax rate, it will help them be more competitive and level the playing field a little bit more so our workers have the opportunity to be able to compete and to succeed in a global marketplace. I intend to pay for this, the reduction in the revenue that would come from my legislation, by shutting down a lot of the unnecessary tax loopholes that powerful special interests have been able to get included in the tax code throughout the years. Loopholes that allow special interests, large entities, and individuals to park their money overseas in offshore tax havens, or a silly tax deduction that companies currently receive for their moving expenses in moving jobs overseas. There is no way why our tax code should be rewarding a company who is deciding to relocate and move jobs overseas with a tax deduction in doing it. By closing many of these loopholes, it would help pay for lowering that effective tax rate for our manufacturers at home from the 35 to the 20% level that my legislation is calling for. I've begun discussing this with my colleagues. I would hope that it is embraced here in Congress in a bipartisan fashion because, again, our nation needs to have the ability to make and grow and produce things, and people in America need to be assured that they can make it here in America and succeed and reach their full potential.